Goeiedag julle in en onders. Vandag het Raai met Jacques gesels in verband met die Fynbosskou die einde van Augustus hier in Hopefield. Jacques is verantwoordelik vir die presentation van al die spesies van fynbos in en om Hopefield. Dit was baie interessant. Kom ons luister waaroor die daai twee gesels.
Good morning, Anonymous. Today we are in Hopefield, a small town with lots to offer. We're currently at the Commercial Hotel and I'm sitting with Jacques. Jacques is a volunteer for the Hopefield Fynbosskou show. Deals with many different species of fynbos, all in the Hopefield area if I'm not mistaken. Jacques,
yes.
Welcome.
Well, thank you, it's nice to have you here. So I'm specifically responsible for the species table at the Hopefield Fynbosskou show. So what I do is I go out into the veld and collect individual specimens of as many different species as we can find around Hopefield, and I display them with their botanical names very orderly and very systematically.
Right,
yes.
awesome. And how often would you say you go out to?
Well, it's a year-long process. It is, you know, so of course. To build a species list, you have to be in the veld as much as you can. And there's some species that flower even in summer, even in the dry heat in Hopefield, there's still some flowers that, species that flower. So to build up a proper database, we have to be in the veld most of the time, or a lot of the time. But of course, this time of the year, it's very busy out there with everything flowering and growing. So, but for the next 2 weeks, I'll be in the veld constantly, and then I'll start working on my list for this year to see what is out there and what we can find. And then we start collecting the species on the Sunday before the show. So okay. Then we've got the Sunday, Monday and Tuesday to set everything up. By the Wednesday, everything has to be ready.
And do you work with a team, or is it just you that goes out?
There is a team that helps build the whole hall, the whole display, with all the different plants and all the different veld types. But for the species table itself, it's basically only me. I do have a youngster that's helping me now. He recently finished school, and he's also got a great passion for Fynbos. So he's been helping me. He started last year, and this year I think I'm going to give him a bit more responsibility. Okay. So it obviously helps to have a second, yes, and to have a second hand or a second person to help you.
Okay, well, so a lot of pressure on you to make sure you have everything running up and running.
Yeah. In that week, it's absolutely crazy, because people think it's easy to just go out and find specimens and put them out, but the thing is that some of the species are so closely related to each other that even while you're there, and now if you've got a list of 200 species that you're trying to display in such a small time that you have to get everything ready, you go out, you come back with all these species, but now making sure that you label them correctly. Yes. Just the Lachenalias, for instance, is sometimes a nightmare. There's 2 or 3 that's very easy to identify, but the rest is so difficult. So you sit there with your books and try and just double check everything and make sure you've got the right one. And then we're lucky that we've got a database that's been built up over the years. Tannie Tritter started this whole thing. She worked with Peter Goldblatt and John Manning, the guys that wrote the field guides to fynbos. And that's how this whole Fynbos show actually started, was in that period. So Tannie went out and did all the research, or the field work, the footwork, and came back with the species. John Manning and Peter Goldblatt helped to identify the species, and they put together a beautiful herbarium where they press the flowers and keep them as dried flowers. So we often refer back to that, because that's the easiest way that you can identify, is to have the pressed specimen from the herbarium. So that's actually also how it was possible for me to do this from the start, is to have this database that Tannie and them built over the years. I can't imagine how they started this. You know, and back in those days, there were no field guides, there were no iSpot, there were no data really. So they built everything from scratch. You know, it's actually it is incredible. Yeah.
And how long ago did they start, and when did you join?
I'm not sure exactly when they started with the process, but our first show was held in 1989, and I know Peter Goldblatt and John Manning were still involved with the show back then. For the first couple of years, they helped Tarikobi with the species table, and then she's been doing it since then. And I took over from her about 7 or 8 years ago, when she decided to retire. I was the only one in town that was willing to take on the pressure. Well, I didn't have the knowledge, but slowly but surely, luckily she handed the knowledge over to me. You know, so with that I could
made it easy for you.
Yes,
or easier.
Easier. Yes, yeah.
And yourself, have you discovered any new species in the area?
Nothing that has not been discovered before, but we have
in the area.
But in the area, definitely, yes. Yeah, like we have a list of about 550, like I mentioned, but every year that list grows. So every year there are species that we find here that we didn't expect to see here. What makes Hopefield so special when it comes to the Fynbos is that we're Hopefield is in a place where different veld types connect. So we've got the Renosterveld, the Sandveld, the Strandveld, and then the wetlands towards Veldrift along the Berg River. Like, was it last year or the year before, we discovered a Babiana here that's only been found in the Cedar Mountains. So it's very odd to find it in Hopefield. And every now and again, these kind of things pop up. There was a new species that we found about 2 years ago, I thought it was a very common species, so I labeled it as I thought it was. And then when John Manning actually visited us last year, or the year before last, and when he saw it, he was like, "That's definitely not what you think it is." And he actually took the species with him to do some more research, because he didn't know what it was. You know, so that's very interesting. It's very nice when things like that happen. You know, it's exciting. You know,
one of the times you're happy to be wrong.
Yes.
And now tell me, when is the show taking place?
This year it's from the 28th of August until the 31st. It's always the last weekend of August. So however the dates fall, it's always the last weekend of August.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us the information, and yeah, we look forward to hopefully being at the show, seeing you there.
You will definitely be at the show. You have to come and see what we do there.
Definitely. Thank you.
Great.
Enormous. That's it. If you need to know anything about Fynbos, you're in the Hopefield area, I think the show is an absolute must for you. Go well, and we'll see you next time.